Hi guys, I am doing a little video here about the Gabby Petito case. I know I'm really late to the game. FBI has closed the case. I just want to give my thoughts on, the findings, a little bit, about my thoughts on the laundries. I did a video before, stating some of my thoughts about the case itself and on the laundries. And also, at the end, I'm going to give my thoughts on, you know, about a few of the creators, that have covered the case. And I know some people have said they had trouble hearing me, and, I stated before that I'm just using my phone. I haven't started using my laptop yet, and I might be doing that. But, I have said this is, just kind of a hobby for me, but I did order a mic, so it should come here shortly, and it'll make it easier for people to hear me. And I did receive a stand as well, so that way when I do some cooking videos, or my craft videos, it'll make it a lot easier, using the stand than trying to prop up and try to do stuff like that. Again, this is just a hobby for me, so I just, didn't really want to invest too much into it right now, so I'm just kind of winging it and going with the flow. And I'm also going to look into the StreamYard, so I can get that little bubble maybe. I don't know. We'll just see how it goes. Again, this is just kind of a hobby for me, and y'all might think that I, upload videos every day, but what I do is, I do videos and I set them to private, and then, I just release them. So sometimes it looks like I'm releasing 2-3 videos a day or every day, but I do these videos and then I just release them whenever. So I have a video and I might release it tonight or tomorrow that I did a week ago, and it's just sitting there. It's a cooking video. And I did do my Dudley interview on the Summer Wells case, and it's been sitting there ready to go. I just haven't released it yet. So it's just when I have time to do it, and I'll listen to the video first, because I have a bad habit of doing a video and deleting it and redoing it, but I just don't have the time for that. So if it doesn't sound right and I get tongue tied, I'm going to go ahead and just release it. And I am also going to look into maybe starting to chat with people. I got to dig further into it and feel a little more comfortable. But now that I have some more people in here, I'd like to chat with some people. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and dig in and start talking about this. We do know the FBI put out a statement that the case is closed, and that Brian did indeed, he is responsible for the death of Gabby, that, they did, they were able to recover, well, we all know that he had the notebook, okay, and they were able to read, I guess, what was in the notebook. They didn't put out everything that was in there, but I guess Brian did put in there that he did indeed kill Gabby, and I think most of us, already knew this. Deep in our heart, we already knew it. I know that there's still some Brian fans out there that believe that he did not do this, but, common sense tells us that, Brian was responsible for this. But again, it would be, it gives us more questions, right? We just get these little tidbits, and we want to know what all was in that notebook, right? What did Brian put in that notebook? But they're only giving us just that tidbit, right? That Brian stated, I guess, in that notebook that he was responsible for what happened to Gabby. So, they also stated that Gabby died from strangulation, which we already knew. But also, what we didn't know is that she had blunt force trauma to the head and the neck area. So that was something new that we did not know. they also they also stated, you know, just a few other things that was not made public, or that we weren't aware of. I'm trying to think back, you know, again, I'm not going off of notes. I'm just going off of, you know, a few things that I can remember. Oh, and I'm trying to think now. Am I having a brain moment again? This happens so often if I don't write stuff down, and, ugh. So, you know, we know that the parents have came to a agreement on who gets what from the FBI. I think that was made. I think that we knew about that a little before this. I'm not sure why that's even an option. I don't know. That's a strange one. I'm sure her family knows what's all in that notebook. Of course, we want to know, but, you know, do we have the right to know? In my opinion, the only one that does is her family, okay? Yes, I would love to know what's in that notebook. Maybe it would put a lot of closure to this case. You know, especially, you know, when did Brian pass? Did he put in that notebook when he was planning on doing this to himself? Or when was the last entry? Or did he put in there why he did it? What was leading up to it? I don't know if we'll ever get those answers. I don't know. I'm trying to think of something else. There was something else that I wanted to say, and it just went over my head. But anyways, that's the main thing that we know. And like I said, I think we all knew that Brian did this. And, you know, there's a lot of people that are still thinking that Brian is still alive. And in my opinion, I even thought when he was missing that Brian self-harmed himself. I really did. I thought that his parents were not hiding him out. They were not sending him money, that they didn't ship him off to another country. I really thought that he did something to himself. I was saying that from day one. And I found it really bizarre that he would drive all the way back home to do this. I don't know if it was to say goodbye to his family. I'm not sure, but he did some bizarre things by doing the texting. That's another thing we didn't know, was that he was sending texts to Gabby's phone after she passed. So maybe he did think that he could get away with it. And then he used her card. And we know now that Brian had $20,000 in his bank account, but yet he used Gabby's card. So, you know, that's another strange thing. Why use her card knowing that there's going to be a paper trail? I'm sorry. After she passed and after he knew what he did, a lot of things don't make sense with Brian. I really do, in my opinion, think that Brian had some mental issues going on. And those are things that we might never know. We might never know what was going on with Brian. And we might never know what was going on with Gabby. And we might never know what was in that notebook unless her parents come out and tell the world, you know, exactly what was in that notebook, or who gets the notebook, But I am sure that the FBI um, has released to the parents exactly what was in the notebook. That would be the right thing to do, right? This was their daughter, and you would think, would get every bit of information um, that would be in this notebook. So I am sure that they know everything that was in there, and they might come out and tell the public, since this was such a high profile case and it went national. Now, before this, I heard that Gabby's parents were trying to get Gabby's things from the laundries. And I guess they had to hire, or they were trying to get a court order or something to get her belongings. And to me, that is absolutely insane that they would even have to do that. Brian's parents have no right to hold anything that belongs to Gabby. They shouldn't even have had to, if that's the case, they shouldn't even have to take it to court to get her things. As decent humans, these people should just hand over everything that belonged to Gabby to her parents. They should not hold one thing. And so that's what I have to say about that. Everything that belonged to Gabby should go back to her parents. Point blank, period. Okay? Now, I understand that the Laundries are grieving as well. They lost a son. No matter what anybody wants to think about the Laundries, they did not kill Gabby, okay? And they are grieving the loss of their child as well. No matter what he did, no matter what he did to himself, they are grieving the loss of their child, and they should be able to do that. But they have no right to hold anything that belongs to Gabby. They should turn that over without any courts, without any lawyers. They should just give it to her parents. Now, I'm going to say some things that is going to be a very unpopular opinion, and I did mention this, I think, in my other video with the Gabby Petito case. And that's going to be about the Laundries, okay? And, you know, they said that the FBI did say that charges will not be brought against the Laundries. So, in the eyes of the law, they did nothing wrong, okay? So, remaining silent and getting an attorney is not against the law. So, for them not reaching out to the Petitos when they reached out to them, and them getting an attorney, is not against the law, no matter what we might think is the moral thing to do when they reached out to them. They feel that this family did nothing wrong. So we can think what we want to think about this family. We got to take all of the emotion out of it, and that's what I tried to do. So like I said, what I'm ready to say is going to be a very unpopular opinion, and I did talk about it before, and so I'm going to kind of say it again, because I've heard some creators make a few comments about like a civil lawsuit. Now, if Brian would still be alive, they could make a civil lawsuit against Brian, okay? Or if his parents helped out in any way, like hiding him, helping him, or whatever, they might be able to do a civil lawsuit against his parents. But I don't see that happening, or them being able to do any type of civil lawsuit against his parents. Now, they might be able to do it against Brian Estate. We know that he's got, what, $20,000 in the bank? He's got, I don't know who that vehicle's name is in, if that's Brian's vehicle or not. They would be able to, I would guess, take that money, that $20,000 that Brian had in the bank. But what is $20,000, right? But to sue the parents, what would they be able to sue the parents for? Because, again, in the eyes of the law, they did nothing wrong by remaining silent and getting an attorney. That is our right as an American citizen. Now, people can say, well, they knew what was going on and they knew what Brian did. Now, how do we know that? And I know civil lawsuits are totally different than criminal, right? It doesn't have to be proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that something happened. But, you know, the Laundries are very hated, okay? Because Gabby's family reached out to them after she was missing for how many days, and instead of them contacting them back, they basically told them, contact our attorney, okay, and wouldn't speak to Gabby's family. There is no law stating that they would have to talk to this family at all. So that's going to be very hard for them to prove anything in court. You know, well, they wouldn't I mean, think about it. If they go to court over this, what is going to be their defense here? You know, well, we reached out to this family because their son, it's been proven that he killed our daughter, and we reached out to this family and they wouldn't contact us back. They told us to talk to their attorney. That's really going to be a hard civil lawsuit. Because, again, as an American citizen, this family doesn't have to, you know, they don't have to talk to anybody, right? They don't. And I know what a lot of people are saying, yeah, but they should have, you know, morally they should have. They should have contacted them and say, hey, Brian's back, but Gabby isn't with them. Yeah, I get that. I get that. But that's going to be a very hard one in court because, again, this family is not under any obligation to talk to anybody. So I'm if the Petitos or Gabby's family would take this to court as a civil lawsuit, that's going to be very hard to sue the family of Brian's. In my opinion, it would be very hard because you don't have to talk to anybody for any reason unless, you know, like I said, you don't have to. You cannot be forced to talk to anybody. You really don't, if you think about it. So we're going to take all the emotion out of this, okay, of what happened. And I'm going to put in a scenario, and I did this in my last video too, and of why they might have not talked to the family. And I've already said this in my last video. You know, Brian came back, right? He came back to supposedly move stuff out of storage, and we know this was after Gabby and him had that fight and was pulled over, and we know Brian had marks on him, okay? And in my opinion, I'm just saying this is my opinion, that they could be self-defense wounds, okay? Where, did I say that right? Where Gabby was trying to fight him off. Okay, that's just my opinion. I wasn't there, so I can't say for sure. But Gabby was very upset. She was taking the blame, all the blame. And, you know, to me, it could be, yeah, she did say she slapped him. But to me, it could be that she was trying to get him off of her. And they could be nail marks. I don't know. That's just my opinion. But he could have still had those marks on him, right? So when he came back to get, quote, stuff out of storage, which all that is still bizarre to me, he could have showed his parents at that time, look what Gabby did to me, all right? I'm breaking up with her. She's getting violent. We got pulled over. The cops were involved. I don't know if a report was done up. He could have got a report and showed his parents and said, I'm going back. Okay, Gabby's not going to want to drive the vehicle. You know she's scared to drive the vehicle. I'm going to go back and get the vehicle. And here in a few days, I'll be back. She's supposed to meet up with this friend, which we know that's a fact. She was supposed to, right? And she will be coming back, probably coming back with this friend or whatever when they're done with their visit. He might have told him that, or, you know, he could have showed those wounds or whatever and said, hey, things aren't going right. Look what she did. And he might not even have said that he's coming back. He could have just told him, you know, look what Gabby did. We got into it. Police were involved. You know, this is why I'm moving her stuff out of storage. When we get back from our trip, I'm kicking her out. He might not even have said anything else, you know, about I'm going to go get the van or whatever. He could have just showed his parents those wounds because they could have still been there, scabbed over, right? And he could have showed him a police report. I don't know if one was done up. I do know that anytime a police is called out for anything, they have to do a report. We don't know if Brian got a report. We don't know what was in his head or if this was premeditated, if it wasn't. We don't know. It would be nice to know if Brian ever went in and got a report. Okay? Maybe even after the fact. After he killed Gabby, maybe right before he killed Gabby, we don't know. So, you know, he could have showed his parents those marks when he flew out. Maybe he didn't even say anything. Maybe it wasn't premeditated, and maybe he just showed them the marks, or maybe they seen the marks and said what happened, and then that came out. You know, me and Gabby got into it. She attacked me. The police were called out. That's why I'm getting all of her stuff out of storage, because when we get back from this trip, I want her out. You know, I want her gone. And then he went back, flew back out, and then when he showed up on the first there, and when they asked him, where's Gabby? And then he told them, you know what? I couldn't handle staying there any longer. She was getting violent. She didn't want to drive the vehicle back. She met up with her friend that she was supposed to meet up with. She didn't want to drive the vehicle back. She did not want to come back with me because she was mad, upset. She didn't want to drive all the way back. Her friend is supposed to be bringing her back. But I'm telling you, Mom and Dad, she's losing her mind. She's crazy. She attacked me. I already showed you the marks on me when I flew out here. So, you know, if she calls or her family calls, you know, they're trying to get me thrown in jail. Don't talk to him under no circumstances. Now, I'm just putting that scenario out there. I have no clue what happened, all right? I'm just saying that if that is something that he told his parents, that could be a good reason why when her parents called and said Gabby is missing, why they went ahead and called their friend, who happened to be an attorney, and their friend said, okay, you know what? You tell them they have to go through me now, okay? Don't talk to anybody. So now that's where we got to take the emotion out of this. We know what happened to Gabby, but we have to take all emotion out of this, and we have to think that if this is our child coming to us, and I have grown children, so if this is our child that came to us and said this to us, all right, and we also have to understand that Gabby lived with the Laundries. We have no clue who Gabby was as a person. We have no clue who Brian was as a person, or how these two interacted with each other in the Laundries' home, what they seen, how they reacted. And no, I am not victim shaming or bashing at all. They might have seen some toxic reaction between the two of these people, between the two, I'm sorry. So we have no clue. They might have seen signs between the two of them living in the home that was not good. Like I said, these two lived with the laundries. So they might have seen some fights going on. Okay? We have no idea. So if Brian said this stuff to his parents, again, what if your child came and said this? Your child that has never been in trouble with the law, and as far as I can remember, Brian has never been in trouble with the law, right? So if your child came home from a road trip and showed you marks on them, whether it be a male or a female child, showed you marks and said, my girlfriend, boyfriend did this to me, and maybe even showed you a police report, we do not know that, and said, this person is going to set me up, their family might set me up, okay? I left them out there. They were supposed to meet up with a friend. Do not answer their phone call. Don't answer any phone call from the family. Who are you going to believe? Are you going to believe your child? Especially if they show you marks. I'm not saying that he did, but we did see some marks on Brian, right? So could those marks have been scabbed over, and so the parents seen these marks? Are you going to believe your child and go ahead and say, you know what, I'm contacting my friend that's an attorney and asking for advice, and this attorney said, you know what, if law enforcement contacts you or if her family contacts you, you tell them to speak to me. That is your right. Would you listen to that attorney? It's something you got to think about. Because at that point in time, Gabby's parents did not know she was deceased. And if Brian did not tell his parents that he did anything to Gabby, they did not know she was deceased. All that anybody knew at that point in time was she was not there. Okay? So with that said, I'm not saying Brian did not tell his parents the truth. We don't know. He could have told them when he got back that she was deceased, but something tells me that did not happen. I do not see this family going on this camping trip, okay? All smiles and happy. You would think that they would try to be covering up, right? That they would be scrambling to do something to cover up this crime. We all know Gabby was left out in the open, all right? She was left out in the open. She was not buried. She was left out in the open, basically, to be found. Yeah, she was off of the trail a little bit, but it's not like she was concealed. So you would think that if Brian came clean to his family, and if this family had so-called all this money, that they would be scrambling to try to cover this up, but they didn't. They had all these days, all right, before her remains were found, they had all these days to try to cover up this crime. But instead they go camping. That makes no sense to me. It makes no sense. So, moving forward, a lot of other creators, they don't believe Brian. I don't know if I just said this or not. They do not believe that he's deceased. They think that the family has him in Jamaica, Mexico, um, the Bahamas. I don't know. There's been a lot of places thrown out there. Um, I believe in my heart that they knew once Gabby, when word came in that she was found, I think at that point they knew that Brian self harmed himself. I don't think they really knew. I think they had a feeling when he took off and they said his gun was missing and he took off to clear his head. I think they knew something then. Okay? But I think they knew for sure that he self harmed himself when they found her remains. And I think they knew for sure at that time that Brian did indeed kill Gabby. Okay? And that's why they stayed in the home and went through the harassment and went through what they went through instead of going somewhere else, because nothing was keeping them in that home. I stated that before. They could have went anywhere they wanted to go. They didn't have to stay there and listen to the blowhorns and go through what they went through. And in my opinion, they were kind of held hostage in their own home. And they didn't have to go through that, but they did. And I think they were just waiting for the word. And I also think they were waiting for something else. And I'm going to say that in a minute. Because a lot of people cannot believe that the family was able to find his body or find his belongings so quick. And they want to think it's a conspiracy of some sort, okay? And yeah, it does sound fishy. I'm not going to lie. It does sound fishy that they were able to find him so quick. But the thing is sometimes things can be as simple as they are, okay? Even though they might sound fishy. And I'll give you my opinion. So my opinion is the laundries already said where Brian went, okay? They said that he went to the reserves, okay? He was upset and he took the vehicle and he went. And I do believe they said that a gun was missing. Now, you have to you got to remember, guys, I did not have my channel up. I got interested in the Gabby Petito case like everybody else, but I did not dig in, and just like with the Summer Wells case, I didn't dig in and do all this research or anything like that, the creators that covered the case. I was just watching like everybody else, hoping this girl was found alive when she was missing, and then heartbroken when they found her remains, and then it was on the local news, it was national. It just got crazy, and then I was watching all these crazy theories that his hand was in the flower bed of the laundry's case, or in the laundry's backyard, I'm sorry. And then I seen Blowhorn Betty and Molly and everybody making a scene outside of the laundry's house. So, I didn't dig in and didn't, write all these notes and, because I wasn't covering the case, right? So I don't have everything down. But anyways, he, they said that, he was upset. And he went there, and from my understanding, his parents, as well as Brian, would go to the reserves and do a lot of hiking. These were outdoors people, they would go camping and hiking. So Brian took the vehicle and he was upset, and he didn't come back, and I guess the vehicle was tagged and it was going to be towed. And a lot of people have asked, well, why did they go and get the vehicle and bring it back when it was Brian's only means of transportation? Why would you do that to your child? Well, the reserves where this vehicle was at was not too far from the Laundrie's house. And we have to understand, Brian was an outdoors person, okay? He did hiking. Um, it was walking distance. So, he didn't even have to take the vehicle there. He could have walked to the reserves. He really could have. But I'm going to get to the reason why I think he took the vehicle there here in a little bit. But, his parents went and got the vehicle because it would have been towed after it got tagged. So that's why they went and got it and brought it back. Or the vehicle, like I said, would have been towed away. And they knew Brian could have walked back home, no problem, if he would have came back home. But I think, in my opinion, something tells me that they already knew that, I don't know, something tells me that they knew that he might do something to himself, or that he was just really distraught, that something was going on in his head. I think that they knew Brian might have had issues, mental issues, okay? Something tells me that they knew that he's had some mental issues. I don't know if we'll ever know that, if it'll ever come out, because these people are not talking. They are not talking. I don't know if they'll ever talk. They might. I don't know. So they brought the vehicle back, and then they reported him missing, a couple of days later? I don't know why they waited. People said they waited so Brian had a chance to run. I don't believe that. And then I think the attorney said that they didn't wait that long. I'm not sure. Again, I didn't really dig in that far, because at the time I was just watching like everybody else. Okay? I wasn't looking into it to cover the case on a channel or anything. So, but something was, the FBI, they stayed on that reserve for a reason. Now, we have Dog the Bounty Hunter, they were going to Island here. We already know that Brian Laundrie was spotted all over the place, in this state, that state. Everybody looked like Brian Laundrie, all right? So he was spotted everywhere. And, of course, they were following up on the tips, but something told the FBI, something made them stay in that reserve area. And we know that the Laundries did not talk to law enforcement to begin with, right? They had them when Gabby's parents were looking for their daughter, and they tried to get a hold of the Petitos, or I'm sorry, get a hold of the Laundries. The Laundries told them to get a hold of their attorney, which they had every right to do. Now, would I do that? No, I would talk to the parents, okay, of my child's, girlfriend or boyfriend. At least, that's what I would do. But again, what did Brian tell his parents? That's what we really need to know. What did he tell his parents to make them want to hire an attorney? Or not hire an attorney, but to speak to their friend who's an attorney. Something was said that we don't know. So, anyways, he goes, I'm sorry. Kind of lost it again. I lose my train of thought a lot. It's really hard when you're just sitting here. Maybe I'm falling asleep with the fire. I don't know. But we have no clue what the Laundrie family was saying to the FBI, okay? We know that the FBI came in and took a bunch of stuff out of the house, and they could have been talking to the FBI this entire time when people were saying, oh, they're not cooperating. I think they were cooperating, and that's why the FBI stuck around that reserve. They kept looking in that area of the reserve, and they weren't going elsewhere. They were sticking to that area faithfully. They knew something, okay? They knew something we didn't know. And they were checking out other tips, of course, but they knew something that we absolutely didn't know. And this is just my opinion. My opinion is that the family knew the trails that Brian would hike, that they might, that they hiked them with Brian. And they knew spots that Brian would go to, whether it was to draw, because we knew he liked to do the drawings, right? Some of the weird stuff he did. And maybe they went hiking with him, and Brian had special spots that he liked to go to when he wanted to connect with nature, so to say. He liked doing that, right? He was connected with nature. He kind of his obsession, with whatever. But his parents were fixed. They just knew that he was out in that reserve, okay? And I think the FBI knew he was in that reserve somewhere. And the water, people want to keep saying, and I know they try to discredit it, and I know some of the creators, some of them that have covered this, keep saying that the water was not up, all right, where Brian was found. And the FBI said it was up, and even some of the locals have came forward and said where his body was found, it was indeed up. Now, I'm not sure about when the Laundries, where the father went and looked for him to begin with. All right, the first time, I don't know if the water was up then. I don't know about a big body of water that some people want to talk about, that there's not a big body of water or whatever right where that's at. But, and I'm not a specialist on how the water can be up and then go down. I don't know all about that, okay? All I know is that the FBI said the water was up. They were looking at all around that area, but they were looking at other areas because where Brian was located at the time, for a long time, the water was up in that area, and then it went down. And locals that live there, okay, have said the same thing. But we have other people that wanted to be investigators there, tried to say, nope, that's not true, that didn't happen. We have some creators that weren't there at all saying, nope, it couldn't have happened. But we're having the FBI and locals that live there that said, yes, that is true. And, I'm sorry, but I don't see the FBI lying about this. I don't. So now we're going to get to the parents going out there when the water went down, okay? They're going through all this harassment, and I think in my opinion, I think that they knew because they've done hiking in there. I think they've even stated that they've hiked with Brian in there. I think they knew his special spots, okay, that he liked to go. I think that they went to his spots before. And I think that they knew different areas to go that Brian liked to maybe go to. So when the water went down, when people say, well, how did they find his body so quickly or find his things? I think the other areas that they checked out that the laundries told the FBI, these are some of the areas that Brian liked to go to think or to draw or just to hike or whatever, that those are the areas that was checked out that wasn't underwater. And the other areas that the laundries told him about were underwater and they had to wait. So when they would go, or when the water went down, and the laundries are like, they've had enough of, being harassed and everything. And also the water went down and they're like, we want to go. We know a couple of other areas that Brian went and the water is down now. And if I'm not mistaken, this area was close to where the vehicle was, right? It wasn't that far from where Brian parked that vehicle. So they went in looking and they found some of his stuff, and then law enforcement found the bones, right? So in my opinion, I think his family, like I said, knew some of the areas that he liked to go to. And the reason why I say this is up in the mountains in Tennessee, okay, I knew some of the trails that my child, special areas that he liked to go to meditate. I can name on a certain trail where my child would like to go to certain areas. So I'm just saying, could that be logical thinking? Because I don't see this family going in with a partial skull and a jawbone, all right, and hiding it with a reporter and with law enforcement right there. I know there was like only one or two, but I don't see them doing that. Sorry. I don't buy that. And I don't see Brian having a burner phone and them having a burner phone and then him calling up and saying, hey, Ma, Pa, I'm going to kill myself right here. This is where you can find me. Bye. Love ya. See ya. I'm sorry. I don't buy that. You can find me here on this day. What other I mean, that to find a bone like that, Brian would have had to have called them, what, a month beforehand or 3 weeks or whatever beforehand? The only other explanation would be the parents took the bones in there. And then they would have had to hide them. And the parents weren't even the ones to find the bones or even close to the bones. They found the backpack. It was law enforcement that found the bones, right? So, I mean, it was close to the items, but it wasn't it wasn't the parents that found the remains. It was law enforcement that found the remains. So that would make no sense at all. And they didn't get out, the parents didn't get out in that area because they were under surveillance by all the people harassing them. So who could have went out and hid his bones? I mean, I'm sorry, I don't buy into this weird conspiracy stuff. And then again, a lot of people think that he's still alive in all these different areas. So are all these professionals going to put their career on the line for a nobody like Brian so that his parents could get him out of the country? It just, I'm sorry, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Some people might still want to believe he's alive. That's fine. I don't believe he's alive. I believe he's dead. Okay? And I'm sure that the Petito family, Gabby's parents, I'm sure they have heard about all these theories and they see all this fishy things going on, and I'm sure they have dug and dug into this. And if they believe that he was out there anywhere, they have used all their resources to make sure that this is definitely Brian that is deceased. Okay? That's just my opinion. So now we want to talk about the car. In my opinion, because I'm thinking to myself, why would Brian even take the car there? It was walking distance. Okay? This is, again, someone that could just walk to the reserves, right? In my opinion, Brian took that car there knowing that he is parking in an area that's going to be tagged, okay? A tow area. And that his parents are going to find out. And they're going to know that he went in that area, okay? I think he did that on purpose so that his body could be found sooner than it was. That's my opinion. I don't think that Brian was counting on it taking this long to find his body. I think he went in there knowing that he was going to self-harm himself. And that's why he took the car and parked it the way he did. And that it was going to get tagged. And that they were going to be able to go in there. I don't think Brian knew that they were going to get as much rain as they got. I do believe that month they got, or the month in September, I think it was, or August, September or August, I'm not sure it was, that they said they got a lot of rain. I don't think he thought there was going to be as much rain. And it was going to flood that area and it would take that long to find his remains. And I think he took the car, parked it the way he did so that it would be tagged and found and that they would go in there looking for him and find his body. And he didn't think, he didn't think things through and think it was going to take as long as it took to find his body. That's my opinion on why he took the car instead of just walking there. It was a way for his parents to be able to find his remains and put an end to all of this, to find the notebook, to find the confession, and to put an end to all of this, sooner than it happened. But it took a lot longer, and a lot of manpower, a lot of heartache, a lot of harassment. That's just my opinion. And then we have some creators that are talking about, the gun. That's another thing. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. I think that's the other thing where I had the brain moment there that I didn't talk about. We didn't know about them finding the gun because I said before, that in my other video that, the place is infested with gators, right? So if he had the gun was still in his hand, because we know that it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound, if the gun was still in his hand, the only thing they found was a partial skull bone, or partial skull, I'm sorry, and a jawbone. If the gun was still in his hand, that could have been taken away with gators, but they did find the gun. We don't know where they found the gun at, but that was something new we didn't know about, is they did find the gun that he used. But a lot of people are saying, one of the creators is saying, where was this gun at? They don't understand why only his skull bone and jawbone are there, but not the rest of his bones. We have to understand where this area is. You're talking Florida, you're talking gator country, right? It makes perfect sense that the rest of his bones and stuff could be taken away by a gator. It makes perfect sense. I mean, sometimes things can be simple, and we want to make them harder than what they are. I mean, yes, this case is very there's a lot of fishy things that happened. I'm not gonna lie, there is, but I just can't get into the all the conspiracy things that happen with every case. I mean, it might make good content, and we might, we can sit here and think about different theories, and that's fine. That's fine. But and I do it myself. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I do it myself. What if this happened? What if that happened? But sometimes it can be just something simple. But we as humans, we want to dig in further, and our minds want to go and think of, sometimes make it harder than what it really is. But I don't know, if her family, like I said, if I'm sure that they have dug into every scenario of this, and they have looked on social media, no doubt, and they have heard everybody's theories, and I am sure that they're not going to rest until they are comfortable that this is indeed Brian, okay? And that they are sure that his parents had no part in covering for him, hiding him, or helping him out before FBI closed the case. They might not have thought that to begin with the laundries, okay? But I have no doubt that they're not going to let FBI close the case unless all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed. And, again, theories are absolutely fine. They really are. And again, when you're into true crime and you're covering cases, you're going to think about the theories. We're human, and we're trying to understand why cases like this happen, why people do things like this. But we also got to understand, too, as, people that cover these cases, these people, this is their real life, okay? They have lost loved ones in the most horrific way ever. They can't walk away from this and go on to another case or go on with their lives, okay, like nothing happened. This is something that they got to relive every day. And when I feel more comfortable, I might share my story, okay? I might share my story. But, we have to think about this, when you're covering cases. to do it with dignity. And when you are thinking about different theories or what could have happened or, what might have happened, and, trying to dig in deeper into the case, just, think about the families as well that are going through this trauma. And I'm not trying to preach here. I'm just, like I said, once I feel more comfortable, I'll share my story. And then, you might understand more. But, we got creators out there that have done wonderful job covering true crime. Just a short amount of time, like I said, the first time that I got into really the true crime cases, and that was with Christopher Watts. And we had some great creators that covered that case, and they did it with dignity. And yeah, there's a lot of theories that went on, still theories going on. And like I said, we're only human, right? And you try to figure out, why this stuff happens. And how can somebody do something, like this? So I totally understand. And then the last thing I'm going to discuss, because I'm going to end that with the Gabby Petito, and I know I was all over the place, and, you got to excuse me on that, but the last thing I'm going to cover is, some creators that think that they're up on the pedestal and they are just the best at covering true crime that, really hasn't covered too many cases, but they want to degrade others that are covering true crime. And, the only thing I got to say to that is everybody does, their coverage differently. And just because, someone might want to cover a case differently, we have some that just strictly stream the news, okay? Or sometimes they give out false information and state it as a fact, or they want to promote their channel by putting it out on garage sale sites or memorial pages, that way. Or they, want to degrade other people because, they say they don't have a personality, they're boring, whatever. All I'm saying is you don't have to degrade other creators about the way they cover true crime. YouTube is a big platform for everybody. Everybody has their own unique way of covering true crime. And as long as you do it with dignity and think about the victims and their families while you're covering the case, you shouldn't be worrying about how other people cover the case, okay? They might be boring to you, but to other people, they're not boring. They have their own unique way of doing it. You have your own unique way. Some people might want to listen to you. Some people might want to listen to other people. It doesn't mean someone's better than the other, okay? Just wanted to put that out there because, there's a lot of people out there covering different cases, and I've noticed that they have their own unique way of doing it. And I like listening to different people, like I said it before, I don't get through long videos, I do skip through, but, and that was with the true crime as well. It just, it just depends. but maybe I just have a bad attention. Can't I really don't want to say I can't hold my attention. I just get busy. So, I might lay I use my phone a lot for everything. So, a lot of times if I've said it before, if I can't sleep at night is when I normally listen. Or if I'm doing stuff around the house, I might put my phone down and listen to it on my phone while I'm doing stuff around the house. But, it's really disheartening when, you know, you're, sorry, you listening to my dog. He's barking at nothing. Come here. What's wrong with you? Come here. When you hear other creators, putting other ones down, when they're putting a lot of time and effort into doing research, okay? I didn't do that. Again, this is just another fly-by-night video that I did, really no research. This is just me remembering some of the things on the case. But you have creators that really do a lot of research. They put a lot of time into this, a lot of effort. They have children that they're tending to, spouses they're taking care of, regular jobs they're going to on top of this, taking care of a household. And I give you a lot of props. I really do. I don't know how you do it. But again, like I said, just the research alone. I didn't do any research. So just saying, to put other creators down for their technique, I find that totally wrong. And it really makes some creators that do that look bad. And it makes you know better because of the way you decide to do true crime. All right, it makes you know better than the next person that's doing true crime. And just because you think you got a better personality than someone else, that's your opinion, okay? It might be the opinion of the people that follow you, but it's not everybody out on YouTube's opinion, all right? Just wanted to put that out there because I found that a little disgusting that, because I seen so many people put hard work in to some of the cases, and I don't like seeing other creators that are covering it, the true crime cases, being put down when I've seen so many put such hard work into it. And, just, I don't know. Again, it's that behavior on social media that I'm talking about, it's just, it's childish. It's nasty behavior. No one's better than the other, okay? And some people think because they get more clicks or views or more people are watching them, again, you don't know if it's more of your haters watching you or if it's more of your people that are supporting you. You have no idea. So on that note, I'm going to end it. I did want to put that there at the end of the video just because I think it's, kind of bad behavior when you're putting other creators down when it comes to true crime just because you think you're better than them. I've seen some really good creators, mainly on the Christopher Watts case that did a great job and they did it with dignity, okay? So again, I'm gonna end it. I'm getting really tired. It's late, and I shouldn't do these videos in the morning, early in the morning, or when it gets late. I lose my train of thought, anyways. Even when it's not when I'm not tired. So hopefully here real soon my mic comes in and I'll do these videos a little differently so I can hold attention because I talk in a monotone voice that I can make people go to sleep. But trust me, I mean, I can get that. I can talk in a very calm way, but I can get a little irate too. But you know, I choose not to do that on my channel. I kind of want to keep it, you know, at an even keel level here. So I don't even know if that made sense. I'm going to get off here because I am tired, but I think y'all know what I mean. You know, we don't have to put each other down when it comes to like trying to cover true crime and think that we're better than each other. That's the point I wanted to get across on that, even if it made no sense. Hopefully y'all know what I mean by that. So we'll catch you again on the next video.